Hello everyone, today we'll have a look at how you can say hello and goodbye in Slovene. There are several ways depending on how formal you'd like to be. You can greet someone informally by saying živjo. This is very common and it's probably the most common greeting in Slovene. Usually we use it only to say hello. Another way of greeting someone in an informal way is čau. Čau is very common, but unlike živjo, it's often used both to say hello and goodbye. A more formal way of greeting people, but still more on the informal side, is Zdravo. I'd say people say Zdravo less than čau or živjo, but that's just my opinion. You'll be fine using any one of them. Now, pozdravljeni is a formal greeting, and you'd never say hello to a friend or family member like that. I don't think people ever use it even in pretty formal settings, such as in a job interview or something similar. In that case, I'd greet people by just saying dober dan, which literally means good day. We'll have a look at that later. Use pozdravljeni in very formal settings, such as when you're holding a speech or presentation and want to formally greet or address the audience. Addio is an informal way of saying goodbye. If you're looking to remember one way of saying hello and goodbye, then I'd go for živjo and addio. They can be used in many situations and you can't really go wrong in informal settings. Se vidimo is another common informal way of saying goodbye. It means see you. Nasvidenje is a formal way of saying goodbye. I'd say in theory it's about as formal as pozdravljeni, but in practice people use nasvidenje all the time and almost never say pozdravljeni. Anyway, nasvidenje is the polite way of saying goodbye. When leaving a store, for example, you usually say nasvidenje. Zbogom is very formal and is like saying farewell. You'll never hear it used and you'll never use it. I'm including it because I find it interesting since it's similar to addio. Addio is from the French adieu, or to God, and zbogom in Slovene is literally with God. Again, it's never used just like you'd never say farewell in English. You can also greet someone according to the time of day. Dobro jutro is good morning, dober dan, good day, dober večer, good evening, and lahko noč is good night. Well, literally it's light night. Jutro, dan, and čer are the colloquial abbreviated forms of dobro jutro, dober dan, and dober večer. Saying dan and čer is very common. In spoken Slovene, we probably say the abbreviated versions more often than the full phrases. Okay, if you're looking to just remember the most common greetings so you have something to work with immediately after watching this video, then just memorize these 4 things. In informal occasions, I'd go for živjo and addio, and in formal occasions, I'd greet with dober dan and say goodbye with nasvidenje. If you plan on having a presentation or something similar, then greet everyone with pozdravljeni. And that's pretty much it. You now know how to greet people in Slovene. If that's all you were looking for, then I suggest you stop here since you might get bored from now on. But if you're interested in learning Slovene in general, then feel free to continue. Let's just see what else we can learn by taking a closer look at the different greetings. Before we start, I'd just like to say that you shouldn't be quote-unquote afraid of too much information. With myself, I often find that I'm sort of afraid that learning too many things that might not be essential will eat up all the space for the important stuff. I don't know how true this is. I think it's true to some degree, and there probably is a limited capacity for storing information at any one time. But on the other hand, I know from experience that every new thing you learn can act as a good anchor point for new pieces of information. Learning a new Japanese word to someone that's been studying Japanese is easy because there's a whole system of anchor points already in their mind. They can immediately place an unfamiliar new word in a familiar environment. This is probably much more difficult for someone that doesn't know any Japanese. What I'm saying is basically keep in mind that sometimes trying to learn more than necessary or more than you think you're capable of will lead to you in the end remembering the part that was necessary. So when we start listing a lot of new words, don't feel intimidated and think you have to remember them all. Just go through the clip and you might find that more things got stuck in your memory than you expected. I think learning more than you think necessary is especially useful with new vocabulary. Oh, and if you don't understand something or you feel something hasn't been explained well, then just ignore it. I'll point out interesting things even if they're more for the advanced student. Let's have a look at živjo now. By saying živjo, you basically wish someone to be alive and healthy. It's like saying, may you be alive. Here are some related words. Živ means alive or living. Živa is the feminine form and živo the neuter. Živahen is also an adjective, but it means lively. Življenje means life, and živeti means to live. Žival is an animal, and oživljati to resuscitate. So, to go back to what I was saying earlier, there's no way you'll remember all of this, and you shouldn't. But if at the end of the lesson you remember that the živ in živjo has something to do with life, and that words with živ have similar meanings, then you've already learned plenty. Okay, next word is zdravo. It's the same as živjo, except in živjo you're saying may you be alive, and in zdravo you're saying may you be healthy. Here are some similar words. Zdrav means healthy, and zdrava and zdravo are the feminine and neuter forms of the adjective. Zdravje is health. Zdravnik is a male doctor, and zdravnica is a female doctor. Zdravilo means medicine, as in a substance that helps you get better, not the branch of science. Zdraviti is to treat an illness, and na zdravje means bottoms up or cheers. It's the most common toast in Slovenia. It literally means to health. This expression is the same in all the Slavic countries of the Balkans, and people will understand you if you pronounce it as in Slovene. We also use it as a response to someone sneezing, like the English bless you. Now let's have a look at addio. Even though addio is informal and very common, and zbogom formal and almost never used, it's interesting to compare them and see how similar they are. Addio comes from the French adieu and means to God, and zbogom means with God. Let's have a look. S or z means with in Slovene. Whether you use s or z depends on the sound of the word that comes after it, but the meaning's the same. If you ever see a freestanding s or z in a Slovene text, it means with. Bog means God, so that's the nominative case or basic dictionary form of the noun. The noun is masculine in Slovene, and we also have a feminine noun for goddess. And bogom is the word God in the instrumental case. That's the sixth and last case of the Slovene grammatical cases. Whenever you have the preposition with, you always have to use the instrumental. So zbogom is literally with God. It's like saying, may God be with you or something similar. And let's have a quick look at the greetings according to the time of day. Morning is neuter, day and evening are masculine, and night is feminine. Night is one of the nouns that are exceptions. Even though it ends in a consonant, which normally tells us a noun is masculine, it's still feminine. Dober means good and lahak means light. So in Slovene, we greet by wishing you a good morning, a good day, a good evening, but a light or easy night. All the adjectives agree with the nouns in gender, so it's dobro jutro, dober dan, and dober večer. So far so good. But since we know noč is feminine, why is it lahko noč and not lahka noč? After all, lahko is the neuter form of the adjective, so it would fit to jutro, for example. Well, it's lahko and not lahka because all four greetings are actually in the accusative and not the nominative case. It's just that with masculine and neuter nouns in the singular, the nominative form of the adjective is the same as the accusative, and with feminine nouns, this isn't the case. When saying good morning, we're not really commenting on what kind of morning it is. It's not like we're saying it's a good morning. What we're basically saying is, I wish you a good morning. And there's the difference. With a direct object, you have to use the accusative case in Slovene. In the orange sentences, morning is a direct object, and in the black ones, it isn't. Now with morning and evening, the nominative form, so the basic form of the noun phrase, is the same as the accusative because that's just the way it is for masculine and neuter nouns in the singular. But with feminine nouns, there's a difference. Here are the same sentences for night. For feminine adjectives in the singular, when going from the nominative to the accusative, the A changes into O. That's why we say lahko noč and not lahka noč. Hope this all wasn't too confusing. If it was, just forget about it. Always just take what's useful and don't mind the rest. Well, see you next time. Until then, good luck, study hard, and aim for the stars.